if we look at it, if we dwindle it down, it's us calling what we think God. And we are not doing enough work to discern whether we're actually hearing from God or not. Because if we're not in consecration, if we're not fasting, praying, if we're not in that alignment, you can easily mistake your voice for his voice. So this is why I wanted to end this episode with, how did I know? Well, family, I've shared with you before. When it was first prophesied to me that I would move to this location, I was like, no, that's from the devil. That cannot be God. And I called a friend of mine. And it was, again, not just anybody. These are people that God has brought into my life, and we're walking this journey, and we're trying to walk it the best way we know how, but we're walking the path. Okay, so I'm not just letting everybody speak into my journey. It's designated people God has brought into my path. Okay. And so I'm like, girl, I don't. It can't be God. I don't know what Coach ate today, but she off. Because this ain't. Normally she on, but today, absolutely not. She off. And she's like, well, I know that if it's God, you're going to have peace about it. And it doesn't sound like you have peace about it. I was like, I don't at all. I don't at all. And I probably talked to her for like 2 hours about how much this is not God. For the next 3 nights, I didn't sleep. One night I woke up in the middle of the night. Well, God woke me up in the middle of the night, and I sat before him. And I said, you know what, God, I'm tired of wrestling with you about this. If this is what you want, you have my yes. I woke up the next morning, and I had such a peace about moving. I just had such a peace about it that I scared myself. I thought, I was like, maybe I want it. So now I'm like questioning myself, because maybe this is me, maybe it's God. Like, now I'm dealing with me about it, even though just 24 hours ago, you couldn't pay me to move. Now I'm so okay with it. I want to jump on the flight now. Again, I'm one of them with God. He know me. He know how he created your girl. So then after that I believe it was that day, a friend of mine walks in, who works very closely with me. She was worshiping, and on the way in, as I'm continuing to pray to God to ask for confirmation and just really wanting to make sure this is him, she walks in and she says, I just had a vision while I was worshiping. I see you there. You're there. You're living there. You're like, she basically says, I just had a vision of you living in this place. And I was like, and she's like, and no, it's not, because you're married. You're there. Like you're not, at the time of me moving, I'm not married. I'm now me, like not future, now me. Right. So I'm looking at her, and she's like, I was skeptical. She's like, but I saw it. Don't be mad at me. I'm like, I'm not. I was mad at her in the moment, but I got over it. And so she had seen 2 visions of me moving to this location. I was like, okay. So I wrote that down. I want to say a couple of weeks later, another friend of mine, a young lady I'll speak to as well, that speaks into my situation. So first it was prophesied to me, wrestled with that. Then somebody that I'm close to came in and said, I see you moving there, like moving to the location. Saw 2 visions. Then I had a friend of mine call me up and say, I just had a dream of you moving, and you're on the phone with me, and you're crying because as you're moving to this location, the home that you're currently living in goes up in flames. I was like, okay, that's number 3. Then number 4, I go and I'm like, I fast and I pray. And on the fast, I strongly sense that I need to call a mentor of mine and speak to her about the situation. I see it so strongly, or I feel it so strongly, but I didn't act on it. But I kept seeing her initials everywhere. So I was like, let me just call her and see if she's available. She's a busy woman. She happens to have availability that day, not normal. We get on a call and I tell her tell her what's going on. Tell her that I feel like God's calling me to move. She says where. And I said, this is going to sound so crazy, but this is where God is calling. I believe God is calling me to move. She's like, you know that I used to live there, right? I'm like, no, I never knew you lived there. She's like, yeah, I lived there for several years. It's great. You should go. She's like, yeah, I totally think that's God. You definitely need to go. Just go get you Airbnb and just, yeah, go. I definitely think God is moving you there. I'm like, what? 4. So then I go through the next couple of days. I'm seeing signs. I'm open up my like apps, and somebody's like randomly talking about to me about this place. I'm seeing like text message threads. I'm seeing different algorithms bringing it. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little weird. And I go back to my coach, who was the first sign. And I'm like, okay, I believe God's calling me to move there. I have peace. I have all these signs. Okay. So I start moving in the direction of that. From there, I don't even know how many dreams I've had of this new place. This new location that God is taking me to. And then from there, I've had my friends, even my family has had signs that I'm supposed to move. So it's like, it's been like my family, like at first they were like, this sounds crazy. Now they're like, no, I know you need to go. Like it's been like the people that would never want me to leave are like, you need to go. Like I sense God is calling you to move. I go to a conference. I'm sitting with this young lady. She's like, I sense strongly God is calling you to move. I go to another conference. I sense strongly God is moving you there. I like literally, I don't even. And I think God just gave me a bunch of signs because he knew, like, your girl gonna need some signs. I'm gonna need some signs. I'm not gonna just take my word for it. I'm not just gonna take my mind. I'm putting my stuff before wise counsel, why family, because we can deceive ourselves, right? And a lot of people, when they've written me, they're really just going off of what they think. You have to put it before wise counsel. Let somebody pray over it with you. Do not just, again, I'm not saying wise counsel. If it's a God move, you got to talk to people that talk to God. You can't be talking to people that you don't see the fruit of a real relationship with God. I mean, you talking to a spiritually grounded person, here's the voice of God. That's how you speak to. You don't just speak to everybody. That's what I did. And I was willing and I was open for a no. And some people, they don't go open for a no. They're open for what they want to hear. And anything else that is not what they want to hear, they reject it. And that is a very dangerous heart posture, because you're only receiving what you want to hear versus what God has to say. And God is a gentleman. He doesn't force his will on us. All right. But I had to say this because a lot of people, as you see me journeying, as you see me go to this new place, my new home, as you see it, you may sense that God is calling you to move. And he may be calling you to move. I knew, and let me actually back up. The beginning of this year, I had written down, I think God is calling me to move. Like I already knew. So there was things with my current position at my job I wasn't willing to sign back up for because of the fact that I knew God was going to be calling me to move. I just didn't know where, and I didn't know why, right? Within that same week, my mother calls me and says, I'm asking God, God is calling you to move. I've been praying about it, and I really sense you need to move. You need to move. And that's not my mom. Like, that is the least likely thing for her to say. We're very, very close. So for her to tell me that she thinks she's been praying for me, for God to move me, was like the biggest sign. All right. So then she comes in a week later from a Sunday service, and a pastor at her church, they had a spirit-led worship time. And one of the pastors, when they were like doing like, I don't really know what they were doing, but I think there was like a prophetic moment or whatever the case may be, because the spirit was flowing, points at my mom and says, "Your daughter is moving this year. It is done. It is so. She's moving this year." That was in January. So I had the sensing. My mom calls me, which was should have been confirmation number 2. Then her pastor, random pastor at her church, because she is like this type of church. They don't have like regular same pastors. It's a satellite type of situation. So this pastor prophesies to her that I'm moving. Then I get a prophecy. Then then I get my friend having visions. Then I have my other friend having dreams. Then I'm having dreams. Then then my mentor, who is vigilant, like I trust her sensing, telling me to go. Then I'm seeing physical signs of the place everywhere. I'm looking, turning. God is not letting me, like, as soon as I said yes, it stopped. As soon as I said yes to God, and I'm like, okay, and I started moving in faith, that's when it stopped. He was not like, he's like, if you're surrendered to me, I'm not letting you, you're going. So I had like not like outside of myself, I had like 7 or 8 other confirmations from through other people. And it wasn't even like, people I was at the time speaking to them about. Like when my mom called me, I was not speaking to her about moving or anything like that. Like my coach, I was not talking about moving. Definitely not there. Not at all. So again, we have to be mindful of that, family. And I'm sharing this not to condemn, but really to give wisdom, because when God calls us to things, we can sometimes we can confuse our voice with God's voice. And it's not to say God isn't calling you to move. He might be calling you to move, but it might not be the season. He may be calling you to move, but it might not be the place that you're thinking about. Like God moving me to this place, I only had peace with it when I sought him about it. I did not have peace with it in my flesh. This wasn't the place that was on my like board and I want to live there. No, this was, I had to seek the Lord. And only then was I like, oh, okay. And now I'm fine with it. I'm just sad about leaving what I'm leaving behind. My family, my friends, my job, all the things like the current position. I work a different position with the same company, but it still is different. I'm leaving a lot behind and going to a land that God will show me.